Keanu Reeves has always been known for his modesty and restraint. But that night at the stadium during the Super Bowl, he showed that even the calmest person has a limit to his patience. It all started with one drunken fan who decided to play a joke on him. But during the break, he received an answer he would remember for the rest of his life. The energy inside the stadium was electric. Fans packed the stands, their voices blending into an ocean of cheers, chants, and the occasional burst of laughter. The scent of beer, popcorn, and hot dogs filled the crisp night air, mingling with the faint aroma of turf and sweat from the players battling it out on the field. Though the game itself was a spectacle, for some, the real entertainment wasn't what happened on the field, it was what happened in the stands. Keenly aware of this, Keanu Reeves sat in the VIP section, his posture relaxed, yet his mind alert. He had attended events like this before, always trying to keep a low profile. But his presence never went unnoticed. Fans whispered, some stole quick glances. Others had the courage to wave. He always acknowledged them with a polite nod or a small smile. Tonight, he wore a simple black jacket over a dark gray shirt, blending in as much as a world-famous actor could. He wasn't here for the spectacle or the attention. He just wanted to enjoy the energy of the stadium, something he found fascinating, the raw passion of thousands of people focused on a singular event. Just a few rows above him, in the standard seating section, a group of fans had been drinking heavily since they arrived. One in particular, a man in his late 30s, was already slurring his words. His friends laughed at his increasingly reckless behavior, egging him on. He had the build of someone who used to be athletic, but had long since surrendered to the temptations of beer and fast food. His team was losing, and he wasn't taking it well. "Man, this is bull." Asterisk, he bellowed, his voice barely distinguishable in the roar of the crowd. He turned to his friends, gesturing wildly, sloshing his nearly full plastic cup of beer in the process. "I swear, these refs are blind. Look at that. Look at that garbage call." His friends laughed, some agreeing with his frustration, others simply entertained by his drunken antics. One of them nudged him. "Dude, keep it down, man. You're gonna get us kicked out." The drunk fan dismissed the warning with a lazy wave. Then his bloodshot eyes landed on something far more interesting than the game itself. Below, in the VIP section, sat Keanu Reeves. The man's face lit up in drunken amusement. "Yo, is that ****ing John Wick?" His friends turned to look, their eyes widening in surprise. "Holy ******, that is him." "Dude, no way. What's he doing here?" The drunken fan smirked. "Sitting there all calm, huh? Bet he thinks he's too cool for this game." His friends chuckled, shaking their heads. "Leave him alone, man." But their words fell on deaf ears. The man grinned as an idea formed in his beer-clouded mind. Nah. I want to see if he's really as chill as everyone says." Before anyone could stop him, he staggered to the railing, his half-full beer still in hand. He leaned over slightly, looking down at Keanu. His balance was questionable at best, but his intent was clear. With a sloppy, exaggerated motion, he tilted the cup and let the remaining beer cascade down. For a moment, everything slowed down. The golden liquid arced through the air, glistening under the stadium lights before splashing down onto Keanu Reeves' head and shoulders. Gasps erupted from nearby spectators, their attention ripped away from the game. Those who hadn't noticed the incident turned to see what had just happened. Keanu, who had been sitting quietly, barely reacting to the cheers and yells around him, suddenly became the center of attention. His reaction, however, wasn't what anyone expected. Most people in his position would have jumped up, shouted, or at the very least looked irritated. Security was already moving toward him, and a few shocked attendees turned to glare at the drunk man above, expecting a confrontation. But Keanu didn't so much as flinch. He simply blinked as the cold liquid soaked into his jacket, ran down his collar, and dripped onto his lap. Then, in the most Keanu Reeves way possible, he slowly reached up, brushed some of the beer from his hair, and smiled. The crowd murmured in disbelief. Some people laughed nervously, unsure if this was real. Others started whispering, wondering if they had just witnessed the most zen reaction to public humiliation in sports history. Even security seemed momentarily confused, waiting for Keanu's cue before acting. The drunk fan, for his part, doubled over in laughter. "Oh my God! Look at him! He just took it! What a legend!" His friends, however, weren't laughing anymore. One of them grabbed his arm. "Dude, what the hell? That's Keanu Reeves. You just threw beer on Keanu Reeves." "So what? He's fine," the man cackled, still oblivious to the growing tension around him. Meanwhile, Keanu calmly took off his jacket, shook off some of the excess liquid, and draped it over the back of his chair. He didn't look up at the fan, didn't say a word. He simply turned his attention back to the field, as if nothing had happened. Security hesitated, ready to intervene, but Keanu subtly waved them off. There was no fight, no argument, no scene, just quiet acceptance. And yet, those who witnessed it could feel something brewing beneath the surface. Because if there was one thing about Keanu Reeves that people knew, it was that he never really let things go. Something told them this wasn't over yet. The stadium lights flashed overhead as the halftime show prepared to begin. Excitement rippled through the crowd, a stark contrast to the simmering tension that still clung to the VIP section. Those who had witnessed the beer incident murmured among themselves, exchanging theories and whispered speculations. Keanu Reeves remained as composed as ever, but something in his posture had shifted. He wasn't angry, at least not in the way most people would expect. Instead, he carried an air of quiet calculation, as if he were already several steps ahead of the game. Above him, the drunk fan continued reveling in his so-called victory. He had told the story at least a dozen times by now, exaggerating every detail for comedic effect. Each retelling grew more ridiculous, his arms flailing as he mimicked Keanu's reaction. His friends, however, were no longer as amused. The initial hilarity of the situation had begun to wear off, replaced by an underlying unease. "Dude, I think you should chill," one of them muttered, nudging the intoxicated man's shoulder. "You don't mess with Keanu Reeves." "Oh, come on," the fan slurred, waving him off. "He's an actor. What's he gonna do, John Wick me?" Laughter bubbled from his throat, but it died as quickly as it came when he noticed something unusual. Keanu Reeves had moved. Not just moved, he was walking up the stairs, toward them. The realization hit him like a truck. His bravado cracked, and a cold, uncomfortable sweat beaded at the back of his neck. The once rowdy group of friends fell silent as Keanu approached, his steps measured, his expression unreadable. People turned to watch. Conversations hushed. Even the halftime performers glanced toward the growing spectacle in the stands. The energy in the air had shifted entirely. The drunk fan swallowed hard, trying to laugh off his nerves. "Hey, man, no hard feelings, right?" Keanu stopped just in front of him. He tilted his head slightly, regarding the man with an intensity that felt both calm and devastatingly firm. "You're having a good time," Keanu said, his voice even, almost conversational. The fan let out a weak chuckle. Yeah, man. Just, a little fun." Keanu nodded, glancing toward the nearly empty plastic cup in the fan's hand. Then, with the same slow, deliberate motion, he reached for a nearby table, picked up a full cup of soda, and, without breaking eye contact, tilted it ever so slightly. The cold, fizzy liquid spilled over the drunk fan's head, drenching his hair, seeping into his collar, and trickling down the front of his jersey. The entire section erupted. Gasps, cheers, laughter, an absolute cacophony of reaction. Phones were immediately out, capturing the moment that would undoubtedly go viral within minutes. The fan sat frozen in shock, his expression one of pure disbelief. Keanu let the silence stretch for a few more seconds before he casually set the empty cup down and gave the man a small nod. "Now we're even." And with that, he turned on his heel and walked back down the stairs, resuming his seat as if nothing had happened. The fan sat motionless for several long moments, his friends staring at him in sheer amusement. Then, without warning, he burst into laughter, genuine, hearty laughter. Okay, he admitted, wiping soda from his face. That was fair. The tension that had hung over the stadium dissipated in an instant, replaced by a collective sense of awe. Keanu Reeves had once again proved why he was one of the coolest, most composed celebrities on the planet. By the time the game resumed, social media was flooded with clips of the interaction. Keanu's revenge trended worldwide. Memes exploded across the internet, ranging from John Wick references to captions like Zen Master Level 1000. Even sports commentators weighed in, calling it the most legendary halftime moment in Super Bowl history. But Keanu? He simply watched the rest of the game in peace, a faint smile playing at the corners of his lips, content in the knowledge that sometimes the best response wasn't anger. It was just the perfect amount of poetic justice. The second half of the game was well underway, but the true spectacle of the night wasn't happening on the field. It was playing out in the stands, in real time, spreading like wildfire across the internet. The video of Keanu Reeves' perfectly executed response to the drunken fan had already amassed millions of views. The world had seen it, and they couldn't get enough. Hashtags like hashtag Keanu Revenge and hashtag Zen Master Keanu trended worldwide. Memes flooded social media, with captions like John Wick level patience and Keanu, the king of karma. Even major sports broadcasters replayed the moment during halftime analysis, laughing and praising the actor for handling the situation with grace, humor, and a touch of poetic justice. Yet, despite all the online chaos in the stadium, Keanu Reeves sat as if nothing had happened. He wasn't interested in the buzz, the reactions, or the headlines. He had made his point, and now he just wanted to enjoy the rest of the night in peace. But the night wasn't done with him yet. The drunken fan, now drenched in soda, had gone from smug to stunned to something even more unexpected, humble. At first, he had been frozen in place, his mind racing to process what had just happened. Then, after a few long moments, he had laughed. Not in a defensive, embarrassed way, but genuinely. He had just been bested in the most epic way possible, and deep down, he knew he had deserved it. As his friends laughed and patted him on the back, the fan wiped soda from his face and took a deep breath. "All right," he said, nodding. "I had that coming." His friends erupted into more laughter, but this time, it was different. Less about the humiliation and more about respect. He glanced down at Keanu, who was back in his seat, focused on the game as if nothing had happened. The fan knew he couldn't let this moment end here. He needed to make it right. With determination, he stood up and made his way down the steps toward the VIP section. His heart pounded. Security was watching him closely, their eyes narrowed, ready to step in if necessary. But he wasn't here to cause trouble. Not this time. He reached Keanu's seat, hesitated for a moment, and then cleared his throat. Keanu looked up, his expression unreadable. The fan rubbed the back of his neck, still feeling the stickiness of the soda in his hair. "I just wanted to say," he exhaled sharply, "I was a total asshole back there." Keanu didn't say anything, just listened, his deep brown eyes steady and attentive. The fan swallowed. "I was drunk, being an idiot, and I thought it'd be funny to mess with you. But, man, you handled it better than anyone else would have. You didn't lose your cool, you didn't make a scene. And the way you got back at me," he shook his head, laughing softly. "That was perfect. I respect that." Keanu studied him for a long moment. Then, slowly, a small smile curved at the edges of his lips. He extended his hand. The fan blinked. Then, realizing what was happening, he quickly reached out and shook it. The handshake was firm but brief. The moment had been sealed. By now, people had noticed what was happening. The energy in the stadium had shifted yet again. What had started as a moment of conflict had transformed into something entirely different, something rare in the world of viral internet moments. Forgiveness. A wave of applause spread through the crowd. Some fans cheered, others clapped, and a few even wiped away a tear, caught up in the unexpected wholesomeness of the moment. Someone nearby shouted, "Give him a jersey." The crowd roared in agreement, and within moments, a team staff member ran over and handed the fan an official game jersey. Keanu just chuckled, leaning back in his seat. The fan held up the jersey, grinning, and the crowd erupted into cheers once again. What had begun as an embarrassing blunder had turned into a full-circle redemption arc, and somehow, It felt like the perfect ending. By the time the game ended, the moment had already solidified itself as one of the most iconic things to ever happen at a Super Bowl that had nothing to do with the actual game. Every sports outlet covered it. Late-night hosts turned it into comedy gold. A clip of Keanu pouring the soda over the fan's head became the most-watched video of the night. Even Brons jumped in. A soda company quickly created an ad that read, "Sometimes, justice is best served cold." As for the fan, he became a minor internet celebrity overnight. But more importantly, he learned a lesson about respect, humility, and how even in the most unexpected places, you can find redemption. And Keanu? He simply went home, his work done, knowing that once again, he had managed to turn a potential disaster into a moment of humanity that people would talk about for years to come.